Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Aryaning Ratri. I'm a college student at University of Semarang, majoring in English education. Now, I want to talk about a topic that will probably get a lot of pros and cons among the public. The topic is nuclear power plant. Here I state that I pro and I agree that we should build more nuclear power plant. Before I explain the reason why I'm pro against this thing, first I want to explain what nuclear energy is and what nuclear power plant is. Nuclear energy is formed by splitting uranium or plutonium atom through chain reaction in a nuclear reactor by a process called nuclear fission. Nuclear power comes from nuclear fission. Nuclear energy is a form of energy released from the nucleus, the core of atom, made up of proton and neutron. This source of energy can be produced in two ways. First, fission, when nucleus of atom split into several parts, or second, fusion, when nuclear fuse together. The nuclear energy harnessed around the world today to produce electricity through nuclear fission, while technology to generate electricity from fusion is at the R&D phase. 93 nuclear reactors in 28 states generate nearly 20% of the nation's electricity. And then, nuclear power plants. Nuclear power plants heat water to produce steam. The steam is used to spin large turbines that generate electricity. Nuclear power plants use heat produced during nuclear fission to heat water. In nuclear fission, atoms are split apart to form smaller atoms, releasing energy. Fission takes place inside the reactor of a nuclear power plant. At the center of the reactor is the core, which contains uranium fuel. The uranium fuel is formed into ceramic pellets. Each ceramic pellet produces about the same amount of energy as 150 gallons of oil. These energy-rich pellets are stacked end-to-end in 12-foot metal full rods. A bundle of full rods, some with hundreds of rods, is called a full assembly. A reactor core contains many full assemblies. The heat produced during nuclear fission in the reactor core is used to boil water into steam, which turns the blades of a steam turbine. As the turbine blades turn, they drive generators that make electricity. Nuclear plants cool the steam back into water in a spiral structure at the power plant, called a cooling tower, or they use water from ponds, rivers, or the ocean. The cooled water is reused to produce steam. Now, why do I agree that we should build more nuclear power plants? Because actually there are many advantages of using nuclear energy compared to others' energy. First, low-cost energy. Although building nuclear power plant has a high initial cost, it's relatively cheap to produce energy from them and they have a low operating cost. The price of nuclear energy can be predicted well into the future. The price is likely to remain low or get even lower as technology advances. Second, reliable. One of the biggest benefits of nuclear energy is that it is a reliable power generation source. Nuclear power can be generated at any time throughout the day. This means that a nuclear power plant can produce energy non-stop and won't have to experience any delay in energy production. Third, zero carbon emission. Nuclear power releases less radiation into the environment than any other major energy source. Nuclear power reactors do not produce any carbon emission. This is a huge advance over traditional sources of energy, like fossil fuel, which release tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Excess carbon dioxide is one of the leading causes of climate change. So, the less carbon and greenhouse gas emission an energy source has, the better. Fourth, high energy density. It is estimated that the amount of energy released in a nuclear fission reaction is then the amount released when burning fossil fuel. Therefore, the amount of nuclear fuel required in a nuclear power plant is much smaller compared to those of other types of power plants. This helps contribute to the low cost of nuclear energy. One nuclear power plant can produce thousands of megawatt hours of energy. Those are some of the advantages of using nuclear energy. With further technology advance, this zero carbon energy source could help us reach a clean energy future. I am aware that the use of nuclear energy also has some disadvantages, like water intensive, because nuclear power plants require a lot of water to produce energy. It is also a non-renewable energy source. This is because the fuel used in nuclear reactor and uranium is finite resource. And what is most feared is the risk of nuclear accident and the radioactive waste. Nuclear power plants have very strict safety measures in place. It is important to keep in mind that these type of accidents are rare. Also, studies indicate even the worst possible accident at a nuclear plant is less destructive than other major industrial accidents. Many studies show that fossil fuel industry is substantially more deadly than the nuclear industry. However, accidents can happen no matter how careful you are. Nuclear deserves better than the anti-nuclear prejudice and fears that have plagued it. It is not the 21st century version of the devil excrement. It's a valuable, even an irreplaceable part of the solution to the greatest energy threat in the history of humankind.